Hello, everyone. Welcome back to IGN's E3 2016 live show. I am Vincent Janito, and today, right now, I am joined with Katsuhiro Harada and Michael Murray of the Tekken team. They are here to show us Tekken 7 at long last. It's making its console debut, and I think it's super exciting. The game looks gorgeous.
Thank you.
You got a lot of new features that you want to kind of run us through.
Right.
So, like right here at the start, we're already looking. We've got
Story
a new
mode.
story mode. There's some interesting things happening there with what looks like a quick time event, easy transitions between cutscenes and gameplay. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. 原さん説
そうですね
明する？
まずまだ見てない方もいらっしゃると思うんですけど、今までの鉄拳のゲームはだいたいプリレンダーのオープニングがあって、ストーリーモードも普通になんか登場シーンがあってでいつもの距離でいつものように戦ってたんですけど、今回はもうプリレンダーから演出、そしていわゆるリアルタイムのプレイまで全部シームレスでつながってて、そのプレイの中でもイベントが起きる仕組みになってます。
So I guess with Tekken in the past and also other fighting games, you have the opening CG cinematics, then you have a little bit of load, then you go into the actual battle. You start off with maybe some in-game cinematics where they trade lines, and then you start at the same distance from your opponent every time, and you go into the battle, right? But this time for story mode, you actually start off with the cinematics. It then kind of transitions seamlessly into the in-game cinematics and then into the battle. And even within the battle, you have you don't necessarily always start at the same placement. There's various conditions that are different, and a lot of events that don't occur in the normal gameplay as well.
Gotcha. So is that going to be kind of a standard for all the story modes, or is it just the kind of the big climactic story moments? Is that just going to be built into the story as a whole?
Yeah, so the story mode, that is the way the sequence works. And then this time it focuses mainly, we have Akuma and Heihachi focusing on the segment demo, but in the actual story mode, it's focused on the Mishima clan. So basically, Heihachi, the father, Kaze Mishima, the son, and kind of the saga that goes among those two characters in particular, why they're at each other's throats, throwing each other off cliffs and volcanoes,
Sure.
that kind of stuff. It's something we've never really touched on before, why they're doing this. So why they're doing it, and then what is the actual conclusion of that outcome is what we're touching on in the story mode.
Cool. So it's not an elephant in the room. It's a good thing. But let's talk about Akuma. Like here he is in front of us. He's a Street Fighter character in a Tekken world, but he has a lot. I mean, I played with him yesterday, and he has a lot of his tools, and in many ways really does feel like a Street Fighter character. How did you guys go about translating him over and making sure that he fits well with the fighting style in Tekken?
原さん
豪輝、いわゆる悪魔ですね、悪魔に関しては、この7年前に僕らがちょっと、ストリートファイタークロス鉄拳をちょっとやろうっていう話におのとなったときに、僕の方のアイデアでは、単なるスピンオフじゃなくて、エピソードとして一つ、鉄拳のストーリーなんかちょっと絡んでたら面白いんじゃないかと思ったのがきっかけで、実は7年ぐらい前から僕の中のプランではあったんですよ。で、それを、ゲームに入れるにあたって、もう実はモデルとかアニメーションとかも全部自分たちのゼロから起こして、ストーリーも自分たちからゼロから全部作って、今の形に仕上げているので、結構まだ触ってない人はぜひ触ってみてほしいんですけど、すごいいい、もうストリートファイターのプレイヤーだったらそのまま来れるぐらいのゲームになってると思います。
Finished? So Goki, or Akuma as he's known in the West, the idea for including him in the game actually kind of started very early, roughly 7 years ago, when we had our initial talks with Capcom, mainly Ono-san, the producer of Street Fighter series. They were thinking of what to do with the Street Fighter Cross Tekken at the time, and then at that time, Harada kind of thought, I don't want to just have him as a guest character as a marketing ploy, but it would be really cool if we can kind of link him into the story in some manner. And that's kind of the inkling of how it first started out. And as you see in the game, he's kind of perfectly recreated, we think. But it's not that we received any kind of model data or assets from Capcom and implemented it. We actually built everything from scratch. So the model art, the textures, his animations, everything was done in-house and fine-tuned to make it feel the way it does. And you can even see the 2D look, the kind of stop-hit animation, the way he controls, all of this stuff was... a lot of effort was put into making him feel like the real deal.
Yeah, and when I really felt that play out, not just with his animations and his look, but also just with even some of his bread and butter combos from Street Fighter 4. Yeah. I mean, I was doing down 3 into Tatsu and then Fierce DP, and like that, it just worked. Like the first time I was like, wonder if I can do this. and I just pressed the buttons I would normally press, and it just worked.
Well, and he also has the save cancel move from the Street Fighter series.
Yeah,
so
that's
you can
right.
cancel into
the focus
that
attack,
and, right.
dash cancel. I'm like, that's crazy. Because that's a mechanic that's never existed really in Tekken at all, except now with Tekken 7. Let's move on a little bit from Akuma and talk a little bit about what's different from Tekken Tag 2 to 7. There's a lot of things mechanically that have changed, including that power crush, which now gives everyone kind of an armored move. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Right. どうします？
いやマイケルの方で。
Okay. So, I guess, the last time people saw it on console was, like you said, Tag 2. So I'll start from how it changed from then. So the biggest difference, I've got to say it, the graphics. So, from Tag 2, since we had to create so many characters and the tag system and all the gameplay mechanics, it was kind of based on Tekken 6. So the graphic model, the character models, the graphic level wasn't that different. This time we really wanted to make a big impression, so the game is still running. The scripting and all the coding is our proprietary stuff, but the graphics are handled by the Unreal Engine 4 for the first time in the Tekken series. And you can see the graphics really evolved from in the arcade Tekken 7 and then now Tekken 7 Fate of Retribution.
Yeah.
The stages look amazing, the effects we have. So all of that's been redone. Then, not just that, but the return to the one-on-one.
Right.
Because Tag was a tag-based system where you control two characters simultaneously. So some people felt, the hardcore, they love that. But your people who, they love Tekken 3, they love Tekken 5.
Right.
They were saying it's a bit too much. Maybe the juggles are a little too long.
Because you have to learn how to use just to play the game at all. You have to learn two characters. And even learning one character in Tekken can be a very complex affair. So.
Right. So this time it's one-on-one. We tried to make it more accessible, like when you're trying to get off the ground. Some people couldn't even get off the ground. You'd get comboed, etc.
Yeah, Okizemi's a big, big part of Tekken.
So we actually redid the basic controls as well to kind of make it more intuitive and more accessible. We also had a lot of gameplay mechanics, like the crush move you were saying, the power crush.
Right.
So we noticed that people who are new to the series, if they're playing against someone who's better, they can't do anything. They're just blocking.
Right. They don't know when it's their turn. You know what I mean? They don't they don't know the matchup well enough. They don't know where the breaks in a person's 10 chain are or anything like that. So you're right. They just kind of turtle. So this gives them an opportunity to just, well, you know what? I want to go on the attack. Let me do this. Right. And if it's only a one-hitting move coming in, I'll power through it and yay, I got a hit and now I'm on offense again.
Right. And it doesn't anger the advanced players because there are ways to punish it if you can read the opponent coming. Also, another mechanic we implemented was the rage arts. Mm-hmm. So, up until now, you had the rage mechanic, so if you have less health, your character does more damage until the end of the round. But now this is another option. You can, throw away that status. In return, you get this kind of animation that's different for each character of, a super combo that does damage. It also has armor so that, if you can read your opponent coming in, you can armor through it. You finish the match, maybe have a very big comeback like we've seen in some of the tournaments.
Yeah, and that seems like it's really good because of the armor on it. It seems like it's especially good for beating wake-up attacks. Like if you know someone's going to wake up with like a round kick or something, just throw that out and just blow it up.
It has some vulnerabilities, like if you read it, you can make the opponent whiff, or you can interrupt it with some low attacks. But,
low attacks and throws, I believe, right?
Yeah, but it's another option for people who are new to the series to try to come back. There's also Rage Drive, which some of the all the characters have new attacks added this time around. But this one's kind of a special one where it's got special properties. Again, in Rage, you can choose to discard the Rage status for the super attack. So I guess the best use is if you're on the defense. It has like special properties. Mostly you're at advantage. Sometimes it links into two different attacks. But it's just a way to kind of keep on the offense when you know you're at a disadvantage and your opponent's going to throw something out. You can kind of power through it. You can link it into combos, etc. So it's a technique. For more of the advanced players, I guess, a different option to use Rage.
Sure, because, honestly, it's funny because when you look at it, advanced players in most games, like, they don't tend to lean very hard on super moves to get them back into a round or get them back into a match. They use those contextually when they know it's like a good situation, or they just don't use them at all and they use their well, in other games it would be meter, which isn't really the case here. But, in other, like, in this case, the Rage mechanic, you're throwing that away to get something, and I think, more beginner players will lean on that big, powerful Rage Art, and then the more advanced players will find applications for the Rage Drive.
Right.
And it's cool you have that dichotomy for the two of them.
Another reason, though, for implementing it, I just want to throw in real quick, is that, Tekken if you know what's going on, it's a very exciting game to watch.
Yes.
But when you're at EVO or some of these other tournaments, people who don't know Tekken, it's kind of hard to find where the game's exciting. So the addition of the rage arts was something that anyone can understand what's going on, and we wanted to make the game more interesting to watch.
And something else you guys have done along that lines, and that's smart because obviously, I think we've all learned at this point that sure you can't abandon the the casual everyday consumer,
right.
But at the same time, if you manage to excite the hardcore tournament scenester, if you can excite them, you're kind of getting free marketing and like a long tail on the life of your game, which is great. So another way that you guys, it seems like, have gone into wanting to make it more of an interesting spectator experience are these traded attacks, which I think are, I'm not sure exactly what's happening in mid-match when those trades happen. It looks really cool, but I'm not positive what's going on yet. But what's really sweet is when it's like down to like pixel to pixel, and then like you have that last, it zooms in nice and tight, slow-mo, oh my god, is my fist going to hit him? Is he going to hit me? What's going to happen? Oh my god, KO, I won, or I lost, and it's terrible. So it's very interesting. What made you guys think that was the way to do this?
I'll throw that to Harada.
Yeah.
スーパースローだよね、スーパースローを入れた経緯はもともとちょっと僕は格闘技がやっぱ好きなので、あれでスーパーのリプレイを見てたんですよ。であとアメリカのスーパーボールとかのある仕組みで、中継を5秒ぐらい遅らせてやってますよね。で要はそういうことがもともとゲームだとリアルタイムでできるので、あらかじめ先読みのプログラムを走らせておいて、こう技が近づいたときに先読みでプログラムを走らせてスーパースローにリアルタイムでそのまましちゃうと。で今回はもう要はそのスーパースローを入れることで結局やってる人間も見てる人間もどっちが先に技が当たるか分かんないけど、これを実現したかったので、どうしてもスーパースローはもう5年ぐらい前からやりたかったやつなんですよね。
The inspiration came from sporting events like boxing. There's a lot of fast action, and sometimes after something's happened, they'll go back and do a replay, right, to see exactly what happened. But we thought, we could do that in real time if it's a video game. So we just had the program kind of look for instances where that might occur, depending on, health remaining, what the characters are doing, etc., so that it happens in real time. And so the people playing, you don't know which one's going to hit first and who's going to win, and the people watching don't either. So in that instant, it's a lot of tension there, and it just adds so much excitement to the game.
So, again, in terms of accessibility, and again, that's sometimes looked at as such a dirty word, right? Like people, especially in the fighting game community, we get so nervous about that word, like, oh, that means it's going to be dumbed down, it's not going to be the game, but like things like, Kaz, I assume still has his electric wing god fist, which is still a just frame, if you want to get the good version of it, the electric version. So there's still all this advanced stuff. It's just you're being additive and kind of providing new tools for new players to utilize until they come to grips with everything else. And I think that's like when you look across the fighting game genre, that's what a lot of other creators have done. Like we look at Persona, they have kind of like an auto, like a one hit, like a one button combo, so that it's not good, but it just gives people who are new something to do. Now, on the topic of the combo system of Tekken, though, when we talk about accessibility, you guys have mentioned a couple of times about not being so ground-bound heavy as Tekken Tag 2 was. So that sounds like, on the surface, it doesn't sound immediately apparent why that makes the game more accessible. I understand why, but why don't you explain to the audience a little bit why having fewer ground bounds and making that less of a big deal adds to accessibility?
Right. So, for example, in past Tekkens like Tag 2, you had a lot of lengthy aerial combos because you were changing out characters, etc.
Yes, right.
So you would see the players kind of tend to go back and forth, be very careful with their spacing, and then when one messes up, whiffs attack or whatever, boom, he's launched. Then you got to wait for a while until you reset that strategic back and forth. And we found that that was kind of daunting for beginners, but even kind of veterans to the series that liked 5 or DR, they were saying that they enjoyed that kind of back and forth on the ground, that strategic, cat and mouse, and they wanted to see more of that, which is the reason why we kind of dialed down the combos a little bit to give that, more of the fighting game, back and forth spacing, timing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to me, that's the sweet science of Tekken, right? Is like, getting your, the back dashes and the sidestep. Although Tekken's mobility game is like extraordinarily rich, and so it provides a lot of opportunities for you to play that footsie game. And I think also what it helps with too is that high damage having few opportunities means fewer opportunities to win in the neutral game. So I think it's a smart choice, and I think it'll play out the way you guys think it will.
And so for beginners, even if you miss one and you get launched, you still have a few more times in the match.
You still have a few more tries to outsmart your opponent and get it right in the neutral.
Right.
That's awesome. Mike, Kazuhiro, Harada-san, thank you so much for being here. Tekken 7's looking terrific. I haven't been an avid Tekken player since about 3 or 4. This looks like it's the one that's going to pull me back in, so I can't wait to play more of it. And thank you folks at home for watching. Again, this is, and Tekken 7 was nominated for Fighting Game of E3 2016. We'll see if it wins it. But thank you so much for watching, and this has been E3, IGN's E3 2016 live show. Stay right here for more on everything happening on this last day of the show floor. Thanks a bunch.